What is the dumbest thing you've gotten in trouble for at school? I once set the monitor screen upside down with Control, Alt, down arrow and got sent home. Hackerman. I was suspended for a full week for looking up dark poetry. And then Timmy freaking died. We were told to cross out number 8 on a test. I finished the test early so turned my slash into a big sun looking thing. The teacher angrily showed it to the class and yelled at me for not following instructions. I was always embarrassed by this memory but thinking about it now just makes me angry. In the hallway I said I missed the stupidest answer on the test, not too grammatically correct, but I was in middle school. A teacher came out of her class and berated me for my vulgar language and tried to get me to apologize for swearing so loudly in the hallway. I sincerely had no idea what she was talking about, and I basically just kept playing dumb. I really don't know what you are referring to or what you heard me say. I promise I didn't swear in the hallway, etc. According to my friend who was in her class, the teacher thought I said that was a stupid ass test. Look out, we got a badass over here, saying the word ass and such in school. Bending a paperclip and laying it on my desk. Then the substitute teacher, she was probably about 70 at the time, came over and told me this is a weapon. I was 8 years old. This happened to me too, but in kindergarten. When I was a kid in charter school we used to have to walk in line with our hands behind our backs, and I ran out of line to hug my mom who surprised me at school that day. I got detention. Frick you, Ms. Baxter. Sharing a friend's locker. His teacher caught me opening his locker and sent me to the detention accountability room. The lady in charge told me that it was a stupid reason for me to get in trouble for and sent me back to my class. I got a 2-day suspension for taking my banana out my bag, pretending it was a phone and saying hello, is this the Apple store? Should have used a BlackBerry. I once showed a teacher that you could remove pen graffiti from the tables by drawing over in pencil and using an eraser to rub both off. She said she better not catch me doing that. I'm okay. Plot twist, the teacher was doing the graffiti. Sadly there's a worse one, but I feel this one fits the thread better. Of course all schools have a no hat policy, which I respected, although I love my hats. I was in middle school, 6th grade, and my older sister was a senior in high school. We went to pick her up after school, but we drove to the wrong side of the building. There are 2 sides for pickup. She was on the opposite side with some friends. Because it's impossible to get out of line and over to the other side, my mom asked me to walk to the other side of the building and get her. So, I've got my jacket and my hat. I didn't take them off because I don't even go to this school, and it's after 3, and I just have no reason to. I walk by all these kids who are much older than me. I don't even look like I belong, and walk inside. I'm almost out the other door. I see my sister when I'm stopped by a teacher. Excuse me, what are you doing? I stopped, thinking I'm in trouble for trespassing or something. Made sense to me in the moment. I looked at her and said, getting my sister? What are you wearing? Clothes? Hats are against dress code. Take it off, or I'll write you up. I just shook my head, because I don't have to follow dress code. I don't go to school here. I told her, but she didn't believe me. She asked for my name and told me to be in the principal's office in the morning. I said okay. So, probably that. I made finger guns and said ai. I did this to a friend at the busport, not during class or anything. I was pulled aside and told to stop making gang signs and pro-gun signals. I was threatened with suspension and ended up getting a detention. Zero tolerance intelligence policies strike again. Breaking my ankle. 3rd grade, I was playing football and got pushed down. Ankle hit a rock and I was sent to the office. I was yelled at for playing and they refused to call my mom or give me ice despite the size and color of my foot. This happened during first recess, 10 am-ish. My mom didn't get off work till 6 p.m. I was in a cast for 14 weeks and I still have pain in that ankle almost 20 years later. Your mom should have sued the school big time, refusing to give you medical assistance and even punishing you for it. Yeah, there's a lot of legal issues with that one. Not me, but a friend of mine once got in trouble for pushing someone else, when really, he was trying to catch them from falling backwards. Teacher passed by the room to see my friend with his arms out towards the person falling. Without any questions, the teacher said he would see my friend in detention. He also once got yelled at for softly singing a song to someone during a tornado drill, when the song he was singing was to calm someone else down. Awesome friend. Crap teachers. Logged into a PC. As it was bringing up the desktop, I hadn't even touched it since putting in my username and password. A login script popped up and ran in a CMD window. Teacher walks behind me and yells, "Stop hacking the system. You're hacking IT." I argued that I wasn't, and hadn't even touched it. Everyone else who hadn't logged in yet showed the teacher she was wrong. It was just the login script. She went ballistic. "I don't know what a login script is, but you're all hacking." Apparently I wasn't supposed to laugh at this, so I got a week of after school detention. These all have to be countersigned by the deputy head. My slips weren't, but he was supervising the first detention. I explained what had happened, and that I thought I was probably being given detention for laughing at her age than the reason she wrote on the slip, hacking the school computers. He pinched the bridge off his nose and exhaled loudly. I swear I heard him say "for frick's sake" under his breath. When I turned up the next day for detention, he told me I could go home and didn't have to come again. This is by far the greatest thing ever. I'm just imagining someone yelling, "You're all hacking." I got detention for not attending a class I didn't have. Explanation: I was homeschooled for half of my classes, so at the time I had a first, second, and fourth period class. Rather than walk 20 minutes home, I hung out in the library and would help the librarians shelve books. The head librarian was extremely rude, so I decided not to do that anymore. After informing the assistant librarian, one day later my mother and I are in the principal's office for truancy, which my mother obviously argues against. The principal says she'll graciously give me 1 day detention rather than a week suspension, which is the typical punishment. I found out C was a drug by accident. I made a joke about a classmate's dad selling coke, and in my head I imagined him driving around in a big rig with Coca-Cola labeling on it, similar to the delivery drivers. The teacher reported it to the principal and I got scolded for talking about drugs in class. I had no malicious intent. I genuinely did not know what it was, but since I was 11 when it happened, the principal just assumed I was lying when I said I didn't know what crack C was. In grade 8 we had to take written exams at the end of every sport. One of my friends thought it was stupid, so she ripped her test up. I laughed. I got sent to the principal's office, but she didn't even get yelled at. Still not sure why that was. I went through almost 6 years of high school without getting a single detention. Probably a month or two before graduating, one of my friends ditched school for about 20 minutes to go to McDonald's. He arrived back at school with a bunch of hash browns for my circle of mates to eat, and so naturally I had one. Later that day I was called into the deputy principal's office and was told off for leaving the school grounds. I received a lunchtime detention and was the only one that got caught. Being late to school when I was actually about a minute early, I ended up having to spend most of lunchtime in isolation. Guy was just on a power trip. I sneezed in class when we were watching a WaterAid video and was given detention for laughing at the people in the video. Laughs and sneeze. Some girl came in crying to the classroom and picked me out, saying that I scratched her with my keys. I've never interacted with the girl in my life. Also, got suspended. In first grade, I finished a test and flipped my paper over, indicating that I was done. Waiting for the others to finish, I drifted off into daydreaming. I snapped out of it when my teacher yelled at me for staring at another classmate's paper and copying their answers when my test was already flipped over and I was simply daydreaming. Still salty about this, and I'm 21. Friend of mine once got called out for staring at the teacher, was told to pay attention. I got referral for being pushed down a flight of stairs by a bully. He got a detention, but no, I get punished more because I must have provoked him. Yes, because the school bully needs a reason. UK detention is 1 hour after school. Referral means entire school day in a room, working in silence. The UK's system for bullying is dreadful. I got told to just stay away from my bully. Yeah, because I go looking for them in the first place. For hitting a girl in the hallway even though I did not do it, and the girl even told the teacher I did not hit her, but I still got detention. When I was in the 6th grade, my teacher got mad at me for slouching. He told us to get our textbooks out and I had to lean back in my chair so I could see where it is. And he was right behind me and said see me at my desk. He gave me a detention during the first week because one of his rules is that you can't lean back in your chair. The ever-loving frick does he think the back of a chair is for? 6th grade teacher here. Just this week, had to speak with my VP because I used the word sucks during class. Context: after being sent outside for the 3rd time, student asked loudly, "Mr. Axe, does my behavior suck?" Me: "Yes, I'm afraid it sucks today." Child eventually goes to office, sheds crocodile tears, and voila, administrators suck, too. I was a senior in high school. We had just finished taking marching band pictures outside on a really hot day. Those uniforms are awful when it's hot. Anyway, we come inside to do section pictures and I have my jacket off for a minute to catch some air. I have asthma and was having a hard time breathing. A band parent comes over and tells me to put my jacket back on and I asked her to give me just a second. She goes and tells my band director that I was being flat out defiant. He yells at me before I get a chance to explain. Lets me explain myself. Then he apologized. Wants to get you in trouble. Having a bra strap showing. I was in drama practice and wanted to get water from the fountain, so I took off my silly costume top and left the auditorium. Yard duty immediately saw me and proceeded to berate me, despite knowing me and the fact that I was a good kid who never got into trouble. A strong runner-up would be for answering a call from my uncle. It was lunch, the call was less than a minute, and he was wishing me a happy birthday. My phone was confiscated for the rest of the day because I was told talking on the phone instead of with my friends was antisocial. It's the explanation that gets me the most. But you're being social on the phone. I got detention in 7th grade math for laughing at a teacher's joke because I'm not supposed to have fun in class. Well, maybe you shouldn't have told the class a joke and got half of US detention. I believe I was in 1st grade at the time. The whole school was assembled in the lunchroom. It was unbelievably loud. I covered my ears and it was still too loud. I had my head down, and there was a crumb on the table in front of me. I noticed that by slightly shifting my head, my perception would change such that the location of the crumb seemed to shift. I'd nudge my head one way and it would go up, and the other it would go down. So I started saying it to myself. Up, down, up, down, up, down. It made the loud obnoxious lunchroom noise fade away. Next thing I knew, a teacher clapped her hand on my shoulder. I took my fingers out of my ears and looked up into a silent lunchroom. The teachers had told everyone to be quiet, and my dumb ass was still saying up, down, up, down, up, down. I spent this assembly in the office. My god, you're a robot. Got a job doing tech work for the school a week after I graduated. I was walking back to my office while class was in session and a substitute teacher stops me and asks where my hall pass was. I respond by showing him my admin walkie-talkie and my keys, explaining that I'm an employee but I don't have an ID badge yet. He gives me the stink eye and ushers me to the front office despite my exasperated protests, and gets halfway through writing a discipline referral while I sit in my new boss's office. Principal, waiting for my punishment. Boss walks in, figures out what's going on, and gives the guy a 5-minute lecture about listening to what people are saying. Guy goes back to class dejected and boss and I shared a good laugh. Not me, a friend in high school. My school had a very strict zero tolerance policy in regards to cursing and was slap in the middle of the Bible Belt. A very legit religious guy wore this shirt that said God's last name is not damn it on the front, and a Bible verse on the back about taking the Lord's name in vain or something. They made him take it off, and they couldn't send him home so they just had him put on a shirt out of the lost and found box and gave him in school detention. It was a Marlboro Man shirt. You have been visited by the Snug Smug. You will be blessed with cozy comfy sleep but only if you comment sleep snug. Smug. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.